Here is my Edpuzzle on a video about George Washington. Here there's a due date for December 10th, and start it here.
Its name, George Washington.
See that skipping isn't allowed.
George Washington was the first president of the United States from 1789 to 1797. Not only was he the president of the United States, but he was unanimously voted by everyone there who had a vote to be the president, and that was the first time and only time in history that that would happen.
This is my first question. It's true, false.
Talking about presidents who held office today, you may use the term Republican or Democrat, but George Washington was neither one. In history, George was known as a Federalist.
This meant that he wanted a strong central government and supported the ratification of the Constitution.
That was my voiceover.
Now, talking about George Washington's life, he was born on February 22nd, 1732, in Westmoreland County in Virginia. He grew up there in colonial Virginia, and his father was a landowner and a planter. Now, with George, he had to deal with losing his father at an early age. When George Washington was 11 years old, his father died. Even though George's father had died, George still had another male role model in his life. He went to live with his older brother named Lawrence. Lawrence raised George and helped him to get an education in the basics of reading, math, and more. At the age of 16, George became what was called a surveyor, going out into new lands to take measurements and create maps. Not long after, he became a part of the Virginia militia and got involved in wars like the French and Indian War. Another cool thing about George Washington is he finally got married. When settling down, he married a widow by the name of Martha Dandridge Custis. Although they never had kids, he kept himself busy and became a part of the Virginia legislature. During that time, America was under British rule. This is where George and the other landowners were tired of being treated bad by the British and decided to wage war in the American Revolution. In 1775, Washington became the general of the Continental Army.
Here's my note with an embedded image.
Although he lost many battles in the end, the British Army surrendered in Yorktown on October 17, 1781.
And second question, which is multiple choice.
Years later, in 1789, George Washington was elected to be the first president of the United States. He was also one of the key people that helped to frame the Constitution of the United States of America as well. After serving only 2 terms, George Washington remembered what it was like to be under British rule and decided to step down. He did not want people to look at him as a king and stepped away from his powerful seat. This began a tradition from many presidents who only stayed in office for 8 years. The only president to sit longer than that was Franklin.
This is my third question, and there's actually 2 in this section. Another multiple choice and another true false.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt. After leaving office, George Washington enjoyed his life until December 14, 1799. That is when he died after suffering for weeks with a cold and eventually passing from a throat infection.
And my free response. Last question.
Well, I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me while I talked about the first president of the United States of America, George Washington.
And I can see my responses, but if I go back, there we go, to my class, I can here see the answers. And specifically each question's answered, as well as export the results over here. And then come up as an Excel document. Ta-da.